everyone. Once again, apology for starting this meeting late. We are going to start the meeting of the Finance Committee of the Providence School Board. It is 5:18 or thereabout. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I guess we have quorum. Mr. Al.
Yes, you do, sir.
Thank you. So we have, I think the last meeting we had was in July. So we have the approval of the agenda. The motion,
Motion.
and I'm seconding that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we have the consent agenda 3 and 4. Do we have a motion to approve that?
Motion.
So moved. I second that. All in favor? Aye. Any abstentions, any opposition? The ayes carried. So we have a few contracts that we will be looking at this evening. Yonder FY23. Do we have someone to present that?
Good afternoon. Today we're here to talk about Yonder from Nathaniel Green Middle School, Commander Holdridge, Assistant Principal. What we know in our middle school, what our discipline data shows us, is that cell phones are impacting our students' ability to be successful in the classroom. We know all the research out there says that all of us, but especially young people, are cognitively addicted to their cell phones. So a lot of times they're on it, they might not even know why. Even if they could be in the middle paying attention. And then the second their brain says, check that real quick, get that dopamine hit real quick. They're on their phone quickly. Once they're on their phone, unfortunately, they're not supporting their academics there. They're on their Snapchat and they're planning their meetups and their fights, and they're stirring up their drama that takes them away from classroom. So what we have found, what our teachers have brought to us, what our parents are ready to support, is Yonder. So what Yonder is, and that's why I brought Matt. Last time I had folders for you on a PowerPoint, but I just decided today to bring in the expert so that he can tell you exactly what Yonder is, how it works, and why it is probably the most beneficial thing that we could have moving forward as a large, exciting middle school.
I just want to say thank you to the board for taking the time here, and I'm just going to quickly show you how it works.
This is the base, this is what opens the pouch, and this is the pouch. This is where students store their phones. So you tap the pouch, press the button on the back, it opens up. Students are directed to power their phones totally off, so that way they're not distracted during the day. They put their phone in, and they close the pouch. They then place the pouch in their backpack. At the end of the day, these are positioned strategically throughout the school. Students come up, tap it, and leave. For an average school of about 900 to 1,000 students, the average dismissal time is about 6 to 8 minutes. So it really adds on just about zero time to with the dismissal and arrival. Best procedure is for students to leave their pouches open when they go home. So that way in the morning, all they have to do is put it in, close it, go straight to class. Sorry. A couple of things I want to make clear about Yonder. It was actually invented for adults in the entertainment industry. Our first two clients were Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, and they were first to investors as well. I always talk about Yonder as a seatbelt. Adults, we kind of created the cell phone issue. See a lot of screens going on around here, and if adults paying hundreds of dollars to go see Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle can't put their phone away, and these super famous and really compelling speakers are having issues competing with cell phones, how do you think teachers feel on a day-to-day basis, asking the same students day after day after day to put their phones away? So this way, relationships in the classroom are a lot better. We find discipline, and I don't mean discipline about trying to get students in trouble. I mean discipline is in sports, right? Like, I'm not here to give you detention. I'm not here to necessarily, call home even if you break the pouch. But your phone will be confiscated because that's an issue. It allows admin to be able to isolate conversations, involve parents, but more importantly, get to the issue, get to the real root of the cause of why the student is having an issue, using their phone or not being totally compliant with the system. I could go on and on about Yonder. Just quickly about some of the schools in the region and nationally, we're in one of 3 public schools in New York City. We just implemented in the past month Springfield Central, a 2,100 student high school. Chicopee Comp, that's an 1,100 student high school in Chicopee. JFK Middle School, about 500 student middle school. Where else is huge? Chicopee High School was really the first school in the region to kind of take the Yonder lead. And they've just been seeing everything from grades going up to technology-related infractions going down. But most importantly, what was spoken about earlier, the kind of meetups, the let's go do something in the bathroom, and usually the bathroom smells like vapes after. So again, I'll kind of leave it here and open it up to any questions. And my job is to answer the tough questions. I'm not really a salesman. I'm really here to assist schools with everything from the policy to pre-implementation planning, staff training, but most importantly, assisting the students during days 1 and 2 of the implementation, because they're the ones really going through it.
Thank you so much. Jim, you have a question?
Yeah, I think that's a great program. So just a quick question. Let's say a student wanted to contact their parents in case of emergency. How would that happen?
So all the schools that we work with already have pre-cell phone protocols that they've used. So going to the main office, there's a landline in every single classroom in America, just about, as well as Chromebooks. I'm not sure if your institution has them or not, but a great way to ship that communication is through email. What a lot of teachers and admin are finding is just that parents, believe it or not, might be texting their students over and over and over again about things that might not necessarily be super important. So shifting that communication to email over a school monitored platform can really help reduce those distractions.
Adding to that, let's just say there's an emergency of sorts. Kids are only allowed to use their lockers 3 times a day, for example, but there are exceptions to that rule. A child communicates with an adult, the adult writes a password, makes an allowance, or creates the time. And of course, we want to be able to serve all our students in the needs that they're having. And I do recognize that there will be an adjustment period in terms of, I really can't get my phone. I mean, it will be difficult to adjust to, but I think that we have enough community specialists, culture coordinators, counselors, teachers who are really invested in students being able to adjust and give their attention without their cell phone, that we'll be able to navigate those sorts of issues.
Thank you. You have any question?
No.
So thank you so much. And I know this is not the first time we're looking at this contract. The majority of the concerns we have the last time this was presented have to do with the infringement of independence of the children. We want to make sure that we don't have a program that, end up impounding on them, that they're not able to have the freedom to do what they want to have, especially when they have the time. I'm not saying using the phone during the school hours. We're trying to moderate them and control, and limit them, but we have to be careful. One of the questions we asked the last time was, what's the parents' engagement in this? We asked that question, and I don't think we've gotten an answer to that. I was thinking that if you would give us something like, okay, the parents are in line with it, the community supports it, these are the steps you've taken, and also in terms of these, for the first time I've not seen it in Rhode Island or in Massachusetts, we want to see in schools that it has been done, apart from talking about it, many times when we have documentary evidences, it will help us to be able to know, oh, these schools have tried it. This is the challenges they have. We're trying something for the first time. I think we need to have deeper information that will guide us in making decisions. We're here to make sure that these children have the best quality education, but at the same time, we don't want to be like, policing them. And that is one of the concerns that the majority of the board members have, because we, at the finance committee, we said we're going to refer it to the general board meeting. And when we had the general, and these are a lot of questions that And tonight we're gonna have the same situation. But if we have enough information that we can say, okay, these are the things we have, these are the historical evidences and all that, I think it would help us in making a wise decision in the interest of our children. I don't know if you have something to say.
No, just a couple of things. In terms of policing students with cell phones, that's what we're doing now. And I think the goal of this is to take that away. Because once it's in the pouch and we're not talking about it anymore, there's nothing there. There's nothing to police. It's saving that issue, right? Because we're not gonna argue about it. It's not applicable to the situation anymore. So the goal of this is to allow students independence and autonomy. This is my property and it's mine, right? Versus a teacher who wants to have them all in the pockets or put them in their lockers. Then it's separated from my property and I'm not okay with that, right? So the benefit of this is that my property is with me, it's mine, I have some identity and autonomy in it, but additionally, I'm no longer able to be distracted, right? So I'm able to follow the policy because the scaffold is in place for me. So really, it's a way to empower our children to be successful. In terms of parents, we've had an information table regarding Yonder at 3 of our events: 6th grade, orientation, PTO, and ILT. And so the instructional leadership team and the parent-teacher organization. Of all the parents who showed up, 97% are in favor. So that might not be a large number. That might only be, 200 kids and we're 1,000 students deep, right? But that's 200 families. 90% of the 200 families that showed up said, yes, amen, thank you, right? So there were parents that had questions, but we've been able to answer those questions and facilitate some of those issues. At this point, he wanted the microphone quickly because he's going to share with you some data, I'm sure. But in terms of how this empowers our students and our teachers, because they have ones for teachers too, right? Because all of us need to get up off our cell phones and focus on why we're in a building. And that's in the business of teaching and learning. So I'll let him share with you more about the data he has to support what's going on.
Thank you. So I've been doing this since 2018. I started my career implementing schools in the South Bronx and North Philadelphia. Some of the major schools I've worked with are Overbrook High School, West Philly High School, as well as Samuel Fells High School. There's a really great article in the Philadelphia Inquirer about Overbrook High School and just the impact that Yonder is having. Again, this is not about taking away anything from somebody. Kids will come up to me and say, oh, you're taking away my phone, and kind of give me some guff, and I'll say, here's your phone, it's just in a pouch. It's just a neoprene pouch, that's it. We have tremendously high compliance rates with this. Chicopee High School had a 98% compliance rate in the first 48 hours. And Springfield Central had a 92% compliance rate. We want to assume that about 10% of students are going to damage their pouch just because of the nature of what we're dealing with, which is why replacements are part of the program, which is why you're really paying for is our service, our expertise, having worked in districts across the country. We work with the District of Salem as well, Salem, Massachusetts, and I would really love to organize maybe a trip for the board to one of our larger schools to give you an idea of how it's done and how it's done well. In order to use Yonder and to become a customer of Yonder, in order to launch it, you have to go through parent meetings, staff trainings, but most importantly, the school needs to present this to the students, letting them know that this is a seatbelt, it is not a jail. Just thinking about a car, right? If you drive a car too fast on black ice, you'll slip, and you have a seatbelt to protect you. If you're on social media at age 12 posting inappropriate things, there's nothing to protect you for that, and that follows you for the rest of your life. This is the most powerful piece of technology we've ever had in our entire world, and we have adults as fundamentally failed children as responsible mentors. Number one, in how to use this. Number two, in how to create responsible social etiquette surrounding this. But most importantly is the self-worth. It honestly kills me to see young students just have such an attachment to something that really means nothing. We as a civilization have landed on the moon before we had cell phones. I think students are being used and monetized by companies. In fact, I used to work for a social media marketing company before my time at Yonder. And that was in 2018, well before TikTok. And our goal was to make students interact with their phone 80 to 100 times a day, young people. Your data is being bought and sold every time you interact with a phone. And something that I like to ask students, and I'll ask you all, is how much do you think you're worth to Facebook? For a student, for a young student, it's about 25 cents for every single post or anything that you interact with. With people like me, we're starting to lose their hair and maybe aren't as cool on Instagram, I'm worth about a nickel. I don't think, and that includes, everything, biometrics, your face, like that's kind of what the convenience, we're choosing convenience over independence. And that's kind of sad.
Thank you. I think there's a mother and the member of the community who has shown me something, ma'am.
Hi.
Okay. I think we're trying to show something that,
What she just said about the parents, I'm scheduled for the school board, but we, as Ms. Fernandez mentioned, we have parents who are in favor of just.
Thank
And
you.
here's one of our parents right here.
thanks for coming. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Thank you. And these are the things we're trying to get to make sure that the parents are on board with this.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much. Do you have any other question?
No.
Okay. If there is no other question, do you have a motion to move this to the lighter board for passage?
Motion.
So moved, and I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Both of us. There's no opposition, there's no abstention. So we will forward this to I hope you're going to be staying around for the school board, regular school board meeting in about an hour. So we'll pass this on. Thank you so much for the pains and what you've done. Let's move on to the next blackboard.
Just put it, please. And you're from Yonder?
I am. I'll put my position on.
Good evening, board members. My name is Nick Dominguez. I'm the Chief of Communications.
Thank you very
for
much.
Providence Public Schools. Thank you for your time tonight. Before you is a contract with Blackboard K-12 for the amount of $117,819. It's for a mass communications platform for Providence Public Schools. I'll note that this contract runs through June of 2024, so it's about a 20-month contract. So annually it would be in the $60,000 to $70,000 a year. Should break that into the 2 years. In short, this is desperately needed. In my opinion, this contract will address some of the biggest communication needs that Providence Schools has. And I think it would support our turnaround action plan in many areas. The system proposed in this contract is better than what we currently have, and it's a fraction of the price. I fully realize this is a big decision, and that changing any current way that we do things in terms of mass communications needs to involve all stakeholders. And I can tell you that staff, parents, principals, teachers, everyone's on board with this change. We've done thorough research on this, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So quickly, I'd like to look at the current system that we have for mass communication in the district. It's called Kimbo. It's how we send parents alerts. We send them updates on early dismissals, if there is an emergency situation at school. We use Kimbo just about for everything. It currently costs us about $300,000 a year, Kimbo, so it's significantly more expensive. The biggest weakness that Kimbo has is that we cannot text staff alert messages. So if there is a lockdown at your school, and you're a staff member, if you work here at PCTA and there's an issue next door at Central, we couldn't text you here in this building to let you know something's happening next door. You need to be on alert. We cannot do that with our current system. And I can tell you that staff very much want to receive those alerts. We sent out a poll district-wide to all staff, over 600 people replied, and 90% of staff want to receive those alert messages. And this would be optional for them in any case, but 90% of our staff want these messages. We can't send them right now. This new system could do it. Another weakness of Kimbo is that frankly, it's clunky. We can't message all of our schools at once using Kimbo. The system doesn't allow it. You have to message one by one by one. We have 37 schools. So if there's a district-wide emergency, we have to go through one by one and send out those alerts, which means a semester or whatever the top school alphabetically is, might get that message 10 minutes before the bottom school, which I think is West, because we're going through one by one sending those messages. That could be a big problem. Those 10 minutes might matter a lot in an emergency. Kimbo can only do text messages. It cannot do phone calls. It cannot do emails. This becomes a big problem with our parents because they get a Kimbo for everything. They get a Kimbo about a bake sale. They get a Kimbo about early dismissal. They get a Kimbo about a lockdown. And their phones buzz constantly with these alerts. And eventually they opt out. They text to stop. And because of FCC rules, we cannot text that parent anymore when they say stop, which means those parents aren't getting alerts in a real emergency. With a more flexible system, like the Blackboard system that's proposed here, parents could choose how they receive their alerts. They could tell me, if you're telling me about a bake sale, I only want to get that through email. They can automate that in the system so that they're much less likely to opt out of our alerts and they're more likely to get something when a real alert happens. Lastly, with Kimbo, it's very difficult to create custom lists to send alerts to. This came up over the summer with our summer learning program, where we had students from all different schools at a few sites throughout the city doing summer learning. And we wanted to create lists to send alerts to them in case anything were to happen during the summer program to alert the parents. We eventually figured out how to do it, but it took several hours with Kimbo to do that. And it's very difficult to do so, whereas the new system, again, creating those custom lists is very easy. So to go on to the new system and some of the strengths, the positives that it offers, Blackboard is currently the company that we use for our website and for our robocall system. So they're already tied in to our district information. So I've spoken with the IT department and they feel that the migration over to Blackboard will go very smoothly because of that. They're already hooked into our system. It can do everything that Kimbo does. It automatically translates into other languages. I believe it's 116 languages that they translate into. It can send attachments like Kimbo does, so we can send forms home to parents to have them sign. We can send automated attendance notices if a child misses school or if you miss X number of days of school. It can also send, like I mentioned, emails to parents so that we have fewer people opt out. And parents can again choose how they receive those alerts. If it's a non-emergency, they can say, only send it to me via email and only send it to me after 5 o'clock at night when I'm home. Now, if it's an actual emergency, we can push through their preferences and make sure they get that emergency message immediately. And biggest and most importantly, you can text staff, which we cannot do currently. In that same survey that we sent out to staff that 600 plus people filled out, 70% of them said they're okay with changing systems, changing away from Kimbo if it means they can get those alerts. 70% of staff. So staff clearly want this in the district. Lastly, in our dealings with Blackboard, in terms of the website and our robocall system, they have provided excellent customer service. I'm confident that if we were to switch over and there were any issues with the changeover, they would be very responsive. No reason to believe otherwise. So again, I can't stress strongly enough, this is a better system. It's much cheaper. I think it's really needed for communications in the district. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Question?
I don't have any question. I don't have any question, but I just want to thank you and the district and the superintendent for really working hard, getting these conservation services. Because I know especially people, parents, the refugee community benefit from this. So thank you.
I should mention, speaking with parents as well, we did engage Parent Advisory Council and the District-wide Advisory Council, asking parents about their desire to be able to choose how they get those alerts, and they were very responsive to that too. And they took it to their larger groups and asked, and the support is there as well from parents. I should have mentioned that today.
Thank you so much for presenting this. In terms of the presentation that you made, it's good because it saves money and it's also effective. My only question is, why do we have to sign up for this for 2 years? What if in the first year we're not comfortable with the results we're getting? Now, if we lock ourselves in $117,000 over 2 years, that means we can't do anything until the second year is over. So, don't you think it may be better for us to test it out in the first year and see how it is? What are we gaining from signing 2 years at once? That's my question.
Yeah, two things. One, we're saving money by doing the 2-year rate. I don't have it in front of me, but I can provide the board with the single year rates. They were fairly high. I'm not sure percentage-wise, but I'll send you the exact numbers. And two, the plan to change over, this wouldn't take effect until January 1st of 2023. That's when our Canvo contract expires. So the first couple of months of this would be strictly implementation and getting the system set up in terms of IT and sending out test messages until that January 1 start date. So we would really only be live from January through June, which I don't know if that's enough time to make a full decision about a full school year under our belt. So we were okay, I was okay with saying, you know what, let's do the 1.5 years to give it a full run and also we get a cheaper price.
Thank you so much. I think that answers my question. And I like the analysis that is attached to it that gives the details. I love that, apart from just saying the breakdown. So thank you so much for that. Is there any other question?
No.
In the absence of any question, do we have a motion to so moved? And I'm supporting that. All in favor? Aye. Any oppositions and abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. We look forward to getting, over the time how this is going, so that we can sign more years, so we can just say we don't want that. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to Stephen Mass. I'm sorry. I didn't want to get out of here. I'm just sorry. College board, please. College board, who's helping us with that?
I'll speak to that.
Okay.
Good evening. This College Board fiscal year 23 is a renewal and a 1-year extension of 3 AP programs currently running in our high schools. One at Central High School, one at Classical High School, and the third is at Alphabet High School. The purpose of this College Board AP Accelerator was to open up AP classes to students in grade 9, so they would have a pathway into AP classes in grades 10, 11, and 12. It's a minimal price. We get a huge return on our investment. So it's an online curriculum with a handbook as well.
Thank you, sir. Any question? So my the question is that, so this is open to all students who want, or is there any limitation to the number of students?
So the schools offer AP Algebra, AP English, and AP Science, Biology, so to all students. Just to note, we were awarded by the Rhode Island Department of Education an award last May for having the most students enrolled into College Board classes in the state because of this initiative.
Good. Do we have a motion to move this for the regular school board passage?
Motion.
So moved, and I'm seconding that. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stephen Massey. Did I say it right? It's Massey or Massey?
Massey.
Massey.
That's not me though.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Fleming. I'm the Director of Social Emotional Learning and Mental Health for Providence. Before you is the contract for Stephen Massey, who is a school psychology intern student, in the amount of $20,000. So the typical stipend that we have a contract with GRIP for the school psychology program is $10,000, $1,000 a month. Stephen Massey has taken, or is interested in taking advantage of signing on with us for a year after his intern this year. So being employed by Providence next year. And with agreeing to that, he would get the $20,000 instead of the $10,000, so $2,000 a month stipend.
Do you have a question?
You take the shit.
No question.
So my question is, based on what you just said, this is the contract running from July 26th to September 30th. That's about 2 months. Did you say a year, or was it meant to be 2023?
So September 1st, 2022 to June 24th, 2023. So for the school year, he's with us for the full school year, 10 months.
So unless I'm looking at something different from what you have, I have July 26, 2022 through September 30, 2022.
I'm so sorry, you're correct. So this would go through September 30th because the school-based mental health grant that this is covering ends. So it's different than the fiscal year. The grant year is October 1st to September 30th. And so this would cover the first part of that $20,000, and then we'll come back to you for our second part of our grant. So this is covered through the school-based mental health grant. Our next fiscal year, our next grant year starts October 1st, 2023. If you move down to staff recommendation, thank you. So if approved, the contract will begin September 1st, 2022.
Okay, so I think there should be a correction on that to make it, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm seeing July 26th to September, I'm looking at September to June. So we'll have to be able to like make an adjustment to that so that will reflect from September to June.
The challenge is the grant, because the way we write our contract with him and Rick would be for the 10 months from September to July, or to June, excuse me. But because of the funding source, we have to break it up, which ends our funding source for this year for the grant is September 30th. And then our year 3 starts October 1st, 2022. So that's why it is confusing the way that it.
Okay, so comfortably, this is from September to June, not that something that is going to end in the next 2 days.
Correct.
Yeah, because September 30 is in 2 days. So that means we are approving something that has been spent $20,000 since July.
It's because of the grant and the way.
It's because of the way the grant is
We can
written.
outline that here for you to make it easier for you.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I just don't want
Because we're utilizing the $20,000 from grant year
to. Okay.
that ends September 30th.
We don't want to lose that money.
No, we can't do it. We can't afford to lose it. No, we can't give it back. We have to spend it. All right. Do you have a motion to? You get what I'm saying, right? Okay. Thank you so much for getting back so that I can explain this to the full board. That do we have a motion?
Motion.
So moved, and I'm seconding that subject to that clarification that it's September to June. All right, any, all in favor? Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions, the ayes carried. Thank you so much. Moving on to the next one, which is Ortiz Benda and Associate, Dr. Samuel Ortiz.
So you get to hang out with me for the next 3.
Okay, I like that. I'm comfortable.
All right.
As long as it's not the 2 days one. All right, let's go.
All right. So this next contract that you have in front of you is to contract with Dr. Samuel Ortiz in the amount of $30,000. And this is for professional development and consultation to support a comprehensive screening and assessment system for our MLL population, specifically for special education evaluation and identification. We have updated our, again, through the school-based mental health services grant, we have been able to engage in recruitment and retention strategies for school psychologists, school social workers, and school counselors. And one of those is to enhance their competencies in evaluating multilingual learners and updating our testing and evaluation to be able to be more culturally and linguistically appropriate and effective, and to meet our students. So we have had some outdated evaluation test kits and testing procedures. And so Samuel Ortiz has created what they call the Ortiz model, and that is looking to better understand the different characteristics that come with multilingual learners versus monolingual learners. And it's really looking at their development and how we start to assess and look at that from developmental stages in place of potentially categorizing them with disabilities that they may not have, that may be attached to being a multilingual learner. And so really being able to enhance our staff skills and understanding that and looking at those skills, and then being able to consult with our teachers and our teams, our school-based teams, to enhance their abilities as well and build that capacity.
You have a question? No question. So my question is the total of 100 hours, not to be over that, right? On the second page in the description, has 100 hours.
Yes, that was in his proposal, of looking at once a month consultation with our school psychologists and school social workers, and then also our special education managers and multilingual learner managers, and then also having some workshops. So we did have him over the summer to do a workshop series, and so we'd like to do consultation with him on a monthly basis, and then do that workshop again and open it up.
We got good feedback also from teachers who and for staff who attended this session who really wanted more. So that was another reason why the coming back for this session.
So if they want more, if it's more than 100 hours, we're not paying for that. And if it's less than 100 hours, we'll get our money back. Is that how it works?
I'm sure we'll have 100 hours.
We're gonna use
Yeah,
all
we're gonna
100
use
hours.
Okay,
They're gonna use all of it.
we're gonna use all of it? Okay. Good luck to us. Do we have a motion to recommend this?
Motion.
So moved. And I'm seconding that. All in favor? Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions, the ayes carry. So, Riverside Insights.
So the next contract before you is Riverside Insights in the amount of $16,850. And Riverside is a company that supports the evaluation assessments that we need to update for our school psychologists. We have 10 school psychologists going through the school neuropsychology certificate program to enhance their evaluation skills and looking at dyslexia and other learning disabilities, as well as working with multilingual learners and to identify learning disabilities in that population as well. And so Riverside Insights is a sole source provider for these assessment materials that we will be updating.
Any questions?
Yes. Why only 10?
Why only 10?
So this was part of the school-based mental health grant as well. And so this year, so we only have 20, we're up to 24 school psychologists. We had 21 last year. And so you have to be working in the field for the recommendation is 3 years, because it is an advanced skills assessment of doing neuropsychological assessments. So there's certain criteria to have an experience level, and we only have 24 school psychologists. So in the next coming years, we have the grant for, this is our 3rd year, we'll have it for 3 more years that we can then offer it to more, and hopefully we recruit more, and that's, it has been used as a recruitment strategy as well for school psychologists coming. So the program itself is about $8,000 total. So it is a really good incentive for a qualified school psychologist to come and be able to engage in that. But we just don't have the numbers, so we'll do as many as you let me.
I have a question. Do we have a motion to recommend this for approval?
Motion.
So moved, and I second that. All in favor? Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions? the ayes have it. Thank you. Pearson assessments.
Right, you're almost done with me.
Okay.
So this last contract before you in the amount of $71,400 is for Pearson assessments. And specifically it's for the digital assessment library system, which is we call the DALLs. And what this will do is it brings our assessment tools, so specific evaluation tools, electronically. And so we were able to purchase iPads for all of our school psychologists and school social workers, speech language pathologists, and special education teachers, so that they can start to do electronic assessments instead of paper protocols. And the student would have the iPad and the evaluator, school psychologist would have the iPad, and it would be all digital assessment from there. It automatically goes to score and provides recommendations, and so we can more efficiently and effectively assess our students and make recommendations for learning. It also comes with a whole platform that you can utilize for screening. There's dyslexia screening on that. There's also social skills screening, behavior screening, and then a host of other assessments that we are going to be training on. And then it can be utilized by teams to recommend the appropriate assessments for the referral questions as well. So this will actually save us a lot of money in the long run, because we're paying the actual amount on you, but I can send them a lot on paper protocols. And then we also need clerks and assistants to order those protocols. And then we have a whole system with zones for lead school psychologists to elect who needs what. And so this really allows us to be much more efficient and effective and not have all of those different coordination systems in place, and it's all electronic. We can download them by PDF and print them out.
Question?
No question.
So we're using this for the first time, right? How are we ensuring that there'll be storage of data, and, so that we don't have any? Because when we had paper protocol, we had to always refer to it. Now that we're moving to the electronic, what have we put in place to make sure that we don't have loss of data or any? Do we have anything in place for that?
Can I answer that? So Pearson is a pretty trusted partner of the district, and before we give anybody access to our student data, our teacher data, and that includes names, email addresses, any sort of sensitive information, we're executing an agreement with that vendor that they understand FERPA, POPA, all of the protections that are in place, and that we are protecting the data, and that if something gets out, we're protecting the organization as well. That's all built in standard language in our contracts around data protection.
All right. Sounds good.
And the evaluator, so the school psychologist or social worker or provider who's assessing, they all have login information, and then they're going to utilize that information to write a report that will then go into the student's file as well, so that the student tracks the student. So the system itself will not track the individual student's full file. It's just going to collect the assessment information for us to then write an individualized report from.
Sounds good. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
So moved, and I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
No problem. Engage to learn.
Good evening. Today I am presenting a contract for Engage to Learn, not to exceed $500,000. This is a contract specifically aligned to our top goal of increasing our bilingual and dual language programs across the district. As you know, last year we started expanding across our K-5 schools, but also the middle school. And what we're finding is that it is hard to find fully certified bilingual teachers. In the state of Rhode Island, we just have a teacher shortage. And so many of our teachers are teaching with emergency certifications. And it's also hard to find coaches and administrators who are certified in bilingual education. And so it's really important to us that as we expand our programs, that our teachers are receiving coaching and professional development to become better in their teaching craft in not only English, but also in Spanish. And so we put out an RFP back in the spring, looking for a vendor that could provide professional development and specifically one-on-one coaching with our teachers to support them, specifically with the Spanish instruction, Spanish language arts. We had a few vendors who submitted bids, and we selected Engage to Learn. This contract would provide, like I said, the one-on-one coaching for up to 75 teachers that we have in the district currently. It would also provide professional development, not only for teachers, but for parents. We also want to make sure that we're going out in the community and that parents are aware of the benefits of bilingual dual language programs so that when we expand seats, we're also filling those seats with families who are eager to put their children in these programs. And then the last part of this contract is also allowing Engage to Learn to support us with the development of additional lesson plans that teachers can use aligned to ARC, which, as you know, ARC is the resource that we use for Spanish language arts and English language arts at the K-8 level.
Question?
No question.
My only question is that it looks like this is covering just 2 languages.
Right now, we do only have bilingual and dual language programs in Spanish and English. I would love to expand and have more, but when we look at our demographics, in each grade level, the main language is Spanish. We don't yet have a large enough number of students in, say, kindergarten to fill a class in any other language that we can offer another bilingual or dual language program.
So when you said you don't have enough, what would be the minimum that is required to be able to do that? Do you have a threshold? Like this is the minimum number of people that have to, the students that have to sign up?
Yeah, so we try to staff and put 26 students in each classroom.
Okay.
So usually if we can anticipate that we will have 26 students of potentially another native language, we might be able to offer it in the future. But right now, after Spanish, we have, like for example, Swahili and Arabic, but those are around 50 to 100 students across all grade levels. So in one particular grade, we don't yet have enough students to have a full classroom in a dual language or another language. But I'm constantly looking at those numbers because I would love to offer other dual language programs. But right now, our community really is mainly Spanish speakers.
Okay. Do we have a motion to recommend this for approval?
A motion.
So move down and second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions and abstentions? The ayes have it. We'll recommend this for, but we look forward to that expanding the language.
I would love to. Can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you.
School key.
Good evening. My name is Colleen Van Brandt. I'm the Executive Director of Teacher Development. Thank you for your time tonight to bring you this contract amendment for school kit for up to $1.4 million. So prior to and including our TAP metric excellence for learning in mathematics, our data shows that mathematics has been a consistent area for growth across all our schools compared to literacy. So in our most previous data sets that we have for the 2021 testing administration, just for context, our third grade students who tested, 9.3% of them tested proficient in math. Our 8th graders, 3.7% of them tested proficient, and our 11th graders, 13.3% tested proficient. So it's a great area of need. With that said, this partnership with SchoolKit would allow us to ensure that the math departments in all of our schools have consistent and equitable support throughout the school year by providing a combination of in-person and virtual coaching. And so what does that mean? Coaching typically looks like, or can look like modeling, co-facilitating, analyzing data, classroom observations, feedback, to help the school meet their instructional priorities and their CSIP goals, their comprehensive school improvement plan goals. And so this is a challenge right now for my team who has been charged with supporting our coaches and our teachers, because we've been just, as you know, the vacancy issue, we've had a standing vacancy, we've been unable to fill it. And so the coaches that would come to us from School Kit, they are an ethnically and racially diverse group of coaches. They've worked primarily in other large urban districts like ours. They do have a deep level of math content knowledge specifically around the curriculum resources that we use, Eureka and Illustrative Math. So that would help to maximize our already, our investments in those programs already. And so this, you know, our coaches and our teacher leaders are a critical component of supporting our teachers and our students. And we know that research shows that job-embedded professional development leads to better instruction and improved student performance.
Question.
I think this is gonna be great for the for kids. So how many times can they access, in the contract it mentions that they have access to remote coaching?
Yes.
So how many times during the week can they access?
Absolutely, great question. So the way the coaching would be assigned would be differentiated depending on the individual school's data and what we know about the individual coaches and what support or how much support they need. And so they would receive a combination of in-person, because we know that's typically more effective coaching, and virtual coaching. And so one version of what that could look like is a coach may have one of our site-based coaches at one of our schools, say the math coach at Lima Forts. She may have a touch point every single week with her School Kit coach. And so the first and third week of the month, she would have that person come in person for a half day with her side by side in the work. And the weeks 2 and 4 of that month, she would have the virtual touch point with that same coach to do follow through and follow up and continued support. So it's a blend, partially to keep the costs down. The in-person coaching is more expensive, so we try to balance that while also providing, making sure that we are able to provide that in person. So
Just another quick question. So if a student want to do a homework, want to do a mathematics homework at home, can they have access to remote coaching?
So this coaching would directly support our math coaches and our leadership teams at the schools. And so it's more of an indirect support for students through professional development. So a student wouldn't have access to the School Kit coach, but a student would have access to their teacher, to the site-based math coach, or the site-based administrator who is leading math in the absence of a math coach.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any question. Do we have a motion to recommend this for approval?
Motion.
So move that and second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Nipsila.
Excuse me, Colleen, how do you spell your last name?
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Lucas, and I'm the supervisor of literacy. So the News ELA contract will provide us with access to the News ELA, which is a digital platform that within this contract will provide our students in K through 5 with science resources related to current events, news articles. It'll be a supplement to their core curriculum. It will also provide supplemental resources for our K through 12 students in social studies, and then our K through 12 students also when it comes to ELA. News ELA provides current events, news articles, and it really works to increase student engagement when it comes to reading and any supplements that connect with their core instruction as well. What's also great about News ELA is that students and teachers have the opportunity to change the lexile levels for the articles so that students at different reading levels are able to access the same information in news articles throughout the same classroom. Right now, we plan to use this in connection to our art resources. It'll be a huge support, making sure that our students are able to access engaging materials, current events, and they're able to relate to current day occurrences within their communities and throughout the world. So I'll take questions.
Thank you. You have a question?
No question.
So I'm looking at this. So we've been spending part of this budget already, right?
Yeah, so a portion of it was already used during summer school, connected to our social studies curriculum and our science curriculum as well.
I'm a little concerned that we're approving something that has already been expended 2 months before.
So the summer school portion was for under $5,000. The majority of it's going to be used for licenses starting for this school year. So we haven't started using that portion of it yet.
Under 5,000 or 5,000?
It was 4,950, I believe. It was under 5,000.
Because what I'm looking here is $5,000. Or am I looking at something different? I'm saying $5,000, not 4,900. You want to make a correction of that?
I'll double check the quote, but I believe it was 4,900.
It's rounded up to $5,000. That's what I'm saying. It's not under 5,000.
I believe it was just under, it was rounded up. I'll double check.
Okay, I can take that as long as we're on the same page. All right, thank you so much. No question. Do we have a motion to recommend for passage?
Motion.
So moved, and I second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you. For correcting me, it's News ELA, not News ELA, right?
I've heard it both ways.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. So we have the last one, Renaissance Learning. Is that yours? Okay.
So Renaissance Learning, you might be familiar, another Renaissance Learning product is our STAR assessment, which we use for screening in math and ELA. So this contract will provide further services and supports through Renaissance in the form of Maya, which is a reading-based digital program, and then Freckle for math and ELA. There are a few elementary schools looking to support with Freckle. What's great about both of these products is that they will align with our STAR assessments, meaning that our student screeners will inform the work that they do on both platforms. Mayan provides a very robust library of additional digital resources in the form of fictional texts, nonfiction resources, also aligned with grade level and various themes. And so we use this as a supplement in our core ELA instruction primarily, and different core content areas as well. This is something that we have had for the past, I believe this would be the third year, so it's something that we've used quite a bit and have seen a great deal of success around. And then Freckle as well would be the other program some of our elementary schools are looking to use. And it's, again, something that's student-centered and that's going to align with their STAR score. So it'll be very dependent on the individual student needs and further support students in their learning that way.
Any questions?
No question.
And so this is a renewal. This is the last year of the contract. Is that what you're saying?
So previously, Maya, the Renaissance, has actually been provided by a Rotary Club donation. So we've had this program before, but the funds have come from elsewhere.
Oh, okay. And you said there's been great review, so that means you know what we're talking about in terms of performance and everything. So, all right. I have no other further questions. Do we have a motion to recommend this for approval on the way board?
Motion.
So moved, and I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions? The ayes have it. So we have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion.
So moved, and I second that. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions? Thank you so much for this time. We appreciate that, and we'll transition to the regular school board in a few minutes. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, can I have your name?
Sure. Let me just write it down for you. It's a long one.
Thank you very much.
Do you want me to do the work with over there?